So today let's talk about this lens here. This is the RF 85mm f1.2 by Canon for the EOS R system, and today is a 6 months follow-up after the last video. I'm Richard and welcome to ZP Productions. If you have not seen my previous review, do click on the link up there and view it because I won't be covering the basics. Mainly today is an add-on. Now, this lens has been with me for about 7 months. The earlier copy I had was a loan from SLR Revolution, and this is a purchase by me itself. Between the last 7 months, I tried many other 85mm lens, including the Sigma 85, the Sony 85, and I also have the GF110, which I had a review earlier. And I also did some 85mm shootout earlier, and this lens really performed extremely good. Between now and then, I have some thoughts, and let me share with you those thoughts today. Now, this video will be split into 3 parts. The first part, we'll talk about the non-image quality aspect. The second part, we'll talk about its image quality aspect. And lastly, I'll talk about some thoughts I have, especially, my viewers has been asking me, which lens should I get? I'll talk about it in that section alone. Now, this lens itself, let's talk about its non-image quality. So now let's move on to its non-image quality aspect, which I'll cover both the physical build and the AF itself. Firstly, let's talk about its build quality. I'll say as the build quality is really good, and handling it with the EOS R, I'll say as this is definitely a front-heavy lens. On the EOS R, it's not like super balanced. However, because the EOS R has a really thick and good grip, better than the GFX 100 if you ask me. Overall, I find this lens very manageable, and I shot with this lens using one hand many times. And I don't get much strain with it. I can probably shoot like 45 to an hour with one hand using this lens, no problem. So the next thing I'll talk about is its weather sealing. So I did a shoot in the rain with this lens. Take a look at this photo here. Sadly, when my lens was wet, the first thing I wanted to do was to wipe it dry. And then I thought to myself, hey, I should have shot a shot of this lens fully wet. And that's exactly what happened. If you take a look at some of the photos from the shoot itself, it was pouring, and the whole lens and camera was absolutely drenched. But this lens survived, and if you look at it today, it is still really clean and shiny inside. Definitely, the weather sealing is top notch. At least I tried it out so far. Then when it comes to autofocus, I find that the autofocus, I'll say as is limited by the EOS R. Firstly, the autofocus when it comes to front and back motion is okay. It tracks pretty much fine as long as the subject is not running towards you. Side-by-side motion is definitely not a problem. But most importantly, for 85-1.2, the most important aspect of autofocus is accuracy. And definitely this lens is extremely accurate when it comes to autofocus. I would say as long as the box is on the target, I'm in continuous AF, I rarely have a soft shot. And it's so sharp that, I can probably zoom in to 200%, and I would say it's almost still usable. Definitely this lens live up to its expectation of a very sharp lens wide open, inclusive of a really good AF that can handle it. And that's about it for its non-image quality. So let's move on to the next section, the image quality section. Now this image quality section, I'll split to a few parts. First, we'll talk about its CA. Next, we will talk about its bokeh, and lastly, we will talk about its sharpness. Why do I split the 3 parts? Because I did various tests along the way, and I think that by splitting the 3 parts gives you a better understanding of this lens image quality itself. So let's first talk about its CA. So when it comes to CA, there's 2 types. The latitude CA, which is a CA directly, at the edge of a subject in focus, and the longitudinal, which is the CA, within the bokeh itself. Take a look at a few shots here. The first shot I will show you will illustrate how good this lens is when it comes to both of these CA. Firstly, in its latitude CA, now this lady here is Azusa, and she's wearing a black dress with the sky behind her. Zooming close to her clothes, you cannot see any CA. And don't forget, she's wearing black and the sky is bright blue-white, which is the worst contrast you can ever get that, can get a CA out of it. Definitely you see almost no CA. Therefore, in latitude CA, this lens is definitely top notch. Now, for longitudinal CA, just look at the silver railing at the side. Those are metal railings. They attract CA like nobody's business. And if you zoom in, look at them, not only are they smooth, they have no CA at all. This lens doesn't suffer the same problem as the 50mm 1.2, which have some sort of CA in its transition zone. This lens doesn't exhibit such a problem. There is a way to squeeze CA out, but it is not trivial. You require silver objects and bright light. This lens is definitely good. And the next thing, you look at this photo here, which, has really a lot of bokeh in its leaves. And let's zoom in the leaves bokeh itself. Now, if you have seen enough photo of light going through foliage, you should know that those holes are attraction for CA itself. And if your lens do not have very good longitudinal CA control, this is where you can catch them. And you can see in this shot, there is totally no CA. And that is how good this lens is when it comes to CA control. There's one more thing I want to talk about since we are already on this photo itself, or this set of photo. The lens flare characteristics are pretty good. As you can see in this shot here, I'm shooting directly into a flash. So that is not a sun, that is actually a flash. And you can actually see some form of flaring coming out. But you notice that even though there is flare, there is really, really little haze. By the way, whatever haze you see in this shot was added by me for the mood. There is actually no haze originally, and I have to add some to make it look more right. But even the amount I add is very little, considering that most lenses that have a flash hitting directly the front element of the lens will probably haze worse off, especially a lens with a 82mm lens and a filter. I really cannot say how good this lens is when it comes to controlling of haze itself. Definitely, this flare and haze characteristics is nice, but just a note, the flare itself have a tinge of purple. It seems to be something that, is very common in modern lenses, and that is something to note if you don't want them. And the next one we'll talk about is bokeh. And if you ask me, if you're buying the 85mm RF 1.2, you are definitely looking for it, because if not, there are alternatives out there that are probably cheaper and can provide you sharp image quality without the price tag if you don't need a f1.2. Now, I have tried this lens with the 85mm DS. I'll say as the 85mm DS, by the way, look at the link up there, and that is the video for the 85mm DS versus the 85mm standard. I'll say the 85mm DS does have a slightly better bokeh in certain situations. Out of like the 6 or 7 situations I have, I'll say as in 2 to 3 of them, the standard 85mm does do better, especially when the lines are not too far apart. The 85mm bokeh, because it's stronger than the DS bokeh. The DS bokeh is not that it's stronger, it's more like it blends through the lines. But if the objects are close enough, the 85mm 1.2 with its true 1.2 aperture will probably bokeh slightly better. It is a really weird phenomenon, but not all the time does a DS produce a better bokeh than the 85mm 1.2. And when it comes to bokeh, let's take a look at a few photos I have here, especially of this photo with reef in the grass field. You can see that the grass, all the various, browning grass is really, really smooth and falling off really nicely behind her. That is how nice this bokeh is. Now take a look at another shot here. The bokeh is extremely smooth all the way. I think this is one of the smoothest bokeh you can ever get out of 85mm. Considering that it has no CA and no hard edges in the bokeh itself, this is definitely one of the nicest bokeh you can get there, barring the 85mm DS, which costs $300 to $400 more, and it's a very specialized lens. Now, talking about this, let me just backtrack a bit. What happened is that this is a f1.2 lens, and during daytime, especially bright daylight, many a times I have to shoot with 1 to 8000 shutter because this lens is just letting in too much light. And the DS sometimes may perform better because it is like a f2 lens when it comes to exposure. It is a lot easier to expose most of the time. Hopefully the next EOS R camera can shoot at 1/16,000 with electronic shutter without all the wobbly jello effect, and that may be a better option with the 1.2 lenses. Okay, and the last part I'll talk about for image quality is image sharpness. And I can tell you outright that this is one of the sharpest lenses out there. In fact, I did a shootout with it, with the GF110. I would say it's not because the RF is a 30 megapixel camera and the GFX is a 100 megapixel camera. I'm not really sure, is this lens sharper or just slightly below the GF110? They look like about the same, even all the way to the corner. Because this lens has no CA outright, it is really phenomenal. In the center, it is so sharp without any CA. And at the corner, it is still really sharp. As long as you focus there, it will work pretty fine. Definitely, this is one of the sharpest lenses you can get out there with a f1.2 aperture. In fact, with its f1.2 aperture, it's performing better than most lenses with f1.4 or f1.8 at the corners themselves. Definitely, this is one of the sharpest lenses you can get out there. If you look at some of my portrait photos here and you zoom in to 100%, I'll say as the 85mm 1.2 with its AF moto capabilities normally outperform the 50mm 1.2 which I have here when it comes to sharpness, especially if you're focusing on the model's eye. This is definitely one of the sharpest lenses you can get no matter how you slice it. You can probably compare it easily with most of the telephoto primes out there. Very, very good lens, very, very phenomenal. So to sum up for image quality itself, at least for the last 5 shoots, this lens was pretty much perfect. It was one of the sharpest lens out there. It has one of the nicest bokeh. It has also one of the most controlled CA I have ever seen for 85mm lens. Not considering that it is a 1.2. If you consider it's a 1.2, this lens is absolutely phenomenal when it comes to all these parameters, because we know that as the lens get wider, especially in terms of its aperture, f1.4 to f1.2 may be just a half stop, but it is really, really hard to make a sharp lens then. It will cost you a lot more money and a lot more effort and much better optics to just make it sharp, good, and usable outright at f1.2. So overall image quality, this lens is definitely top notch. Now it moves on to the last part, which is my thoughts and some conclusion on this lens, especially after using it for 6 months. And I want to say first is that if you have seen my earlier video where I compared the many portrait lens and which portrait lens I choose, the 85mm 1.2 was not the lens there. And that's not because the 85mm 1.2 is inferior, but more like the combination with the EOS R is inferior to the GFX 100 and the GF 110. The GFX 100 just has a better output compared to the EOS R. And if I have a choice between both of them, I'll probably choose the GFX 100 output over the EOS R output. It's just easier to edit and makes my life simpler in post-processing. However, with the new R5, maybe that will change. I do not know. Stay tuned for that in my probably review in 3 months' time. I'll tell you then. And then we move on to the next thing is that the image quality, at least let's talk about pure image quality. This lens in full frame is top notch. I'm not sure how it stands out to the Otus 85 because I have yet to test it, but at least for autofocus 85mm, this is as good of a 85mm lens you can get in autofocus realm, at least in full frame realm. I would say as this is on par with some of the telephotos such as 200mm, and you know, the sharpness, the crease of the photo and the bokeh definitely can fight with them. This 85mm 1.2 does provide one of the more unique looks out there. It is just slightly faster than most 85mm 1.4s, but with that, it also gives you slightly nicer bokeh, slightly softer background, and slightly nicer fall off. All this slightly does add up over time, and it will make a photo just a bit more unique than normal, and that may be a separation for you itself. Which boils down to the last part, you know, the pricing itself. This lens is definitely not cheap. It is at, I believe, 2.7K or 2.4K, depending on whether there is discount or not, but it is still one of the most expensive 85mm you can get in the market. But with that, it comes one of the best output you can also get out of the 85mm wide open at f1.2. Now, always remember, lenses are very simple. The faster you go, the harder to make. And for a sharp f1.2, I do not know how much, you know, R&D Canon have to do to get it done, but definitely they made it possible, and this 85mm 1.2 is the outcome of those R&D. And you know, in conclusion, this is still one of the best 85mm 1.2 lens you could get in the market. In fact, let's remove the 1.2. This is probably one of the best 85mm you could get in the market, regardless of brand, regardless of type. Even, you know, comparing the Otus, I think this will fare really, really well. And that's about it for my follow-up after 6 months. Now, you should know that currently the world is now facing, I'll say, as a crisis. And as such, I really cannot go out to shoot. At where I am today in Singapore, there is still, you know, some sort of social distancing, and we are not allowed to interact with others easily. So you probably have to see me talking about my old gear, my experiences, and probably see me do some editing tutorials. So do check out my editing tutorials in my channel itself, because pretty much in this period, I won't be expecting to talk about new equipment anytime soon, because I just can't test them. I can't go out to test them. I can't shoot portraits. And that is a limitation of the current world today. So till the world gets better, I will see you next time with more equipment review, more camera review, and more talk about this. There is one last thing I want to cover before I end my review today. Now, which lens should I choose? In fact, I received this question I think like 4 or 5 times in the last 1 week or 2 weeks. And I will tell you that between this lens, the 50mm 1.2 and the 2870, it really depends on what you need. I will say as it probably warrants a whole video talking about the difference between the 3 lenses. But on general, if you ask me, if you are a pure portrait shooter, you just want to shoot great portraits, the 85mm 1.2 is the best way. If you want a more versatile lens, but you want that bokeh, that uniqueness in the look, the 50mm 1.2 is a more unique look because the 50mm realm is quite rare to have a good 50mm 1.2, and the RF 50mm 1.2 is that better lens if you ask me in the 50mm realm. Now, if you want a more versatile lens that could also be used for work, the 2870 is definitely a better choice, regardless of what, because this lens will never go to 28mm. That is a simple fact of life. So, definitely, if you ask me which lens would I prefer in the EOS R range, if I only can buy one lens, it really depends. I can't give you an answer today. But I think that demands a video on its own. I'll create one in the future. Until then, you probably can see me again. I will say, see you next time. Bye-bye.